Hello, brothers and sisters. This is Ann, and today is October 18th, 2020. Now, I had several visions and experiences last night, but I will not be talking about them today. Instead, I want to talk to you about a vision that God gave me on September 14th, 2020, which I believe that God was telling me that the Revelation 12 sign in the sky has not happened. Now, I know many believe that this sign occurred September 23rd, 2017, but God has shown me that this was not the case. Now, He gave me this vision, as I said, back on September 14th, 2020. He gave it to me then, and I know He's anxious for me to go ahead and get it out. I had delayed getting it out because I knew that a lot of people were expecting something to happen as it related to the Revelation 12 sign happening in 2017. And I knew that it did not happen. So I decided that I was going to delay my posting of this vision until after the Feast of Trumpets of this year. But then I found out that the Feast of Trumpets had then been pushed back another month so that it did not actually occur um, in September, but now they said that it was going to occur in October, and that was going to be, I think, October 17th. However, that date has also passed, and I know God is pushing me to go ahead and get this vision out because I am the one who has been putting it off and saying that I'm going to wait until after this happened or after that happened. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. And I call this vision the drone explosion and the new baby. And so what I'm going to do is just go ahead and read the vision from my journal as I wrote it. I said that as I wrote it on September 14th, 2020. I woke up at 6:18 a.m. from a very startling dream. In the dream, I was in a house, and I think this was my house in Cosby, Tennessee. Now, there was somebody there with me, and I think it was my daughter, but I was not sure because I never saw the face of this person. However, I remember that there was a garden out in front of the house, and I saw this black ground cover that we use to prevent grass. And it looked like that this ground cover had rolled up, and it looked like actually almost like the leg of a man. But I knew that I wasn't having a dead man in my yard. And plus, there was nothing else in the vision that led me to think that that was a resurrection of a dead person or anything like that. So that's why I know that it was this ground cover material that looked like a leg. Well, I was out on my deck, well, we sometimes call it a porch, and I was looking toward the southwest, and I noticed that there were beautiful clouds in the sky. There were clouds everywhere, and it was the air was bright, it was clean, it was fresh, and it was like a early summer day or maybe late spring. And I could see the blue, puffy, white clouds in the sky. And I even saw like one of those advertisement blimp balloon blimps, floating by. And so it was a really, really beautiful day. Sometimes they use those for, just advertisement, or I don't know, maybe it was a weather balloon, but either way, it was a beautiful day and I saw that float by. Then I noticed that there were lines, like lines drawn in the sky. And they looked like latitude and longitude lines, the ones that you see on a globe or a map. The first time I looked up, I saw the longitudinal lines, and I saw them, and then looked up again, and the latitude lines had formed. And I remember thinking that reminded me of the lines that we saw when we looked at the Revelation 12 um, constellation alignment on Stellarium. And that's what it kind of reminded me of. But it also reminded me of, how when you have an airplane and they have these crosshairs where they have weapon, weapons actually have some places where they, point out a place and they have like these crosshairs. So it kind of looked like that too. And so I was just kind of looking up at in the sky and saying, who is drawing lines on the sky? I remember thinking that. But it was a beautiful day. Then I looked out to the south and I saw a big group of clouds. But these clouds were not puffy white. They were gray and even of a darker color. And I saw them there and I remember they caught my eye. And I started looking at them. And then all of a sudden I saw this big airplane like vehicle right below the clouds. Now, it wasn't flying, it was just kind of sitting there, and it looked like it just descended from those dark clouds. Now, this thing didn't look like any kind of airplane that I had seen before, but yet I related it to an airplane. And it looked like it had these spiky points all over it, even on the top, the front of it. It was just black and spiky. And it almost looked like some kind of drone or whatever it was. But I remember looking at this thing and I started feeling very, very uneasy, saying, what in the world is that? Because as I said, it wasn't moving, it was just sitting stationary in the sky. And I'm looking at it. Now, this other person that I said was at the house with me, they were looking at it too. But we weren't looking at each other. We were both looking at this and we were amazed at what we were seeing. Then all of a sudden, and this thing was huge, it just started to move and it started falling down straight to the ground, just falling down and just started falling. And all of a sudden, boom, it hit the earth. And when it hit the earth, it just shook everything. And by that time, me and this person, we were scared to death. And said, oh my God, what is that? And when it hit, it shook the earth almost like an earthquake. And then it was like we saw these black, almost like metallic pieces just kind of fly into the air. And we were just frightened to death. We didn't know what was going on. So I said, we got to get out of here because when it hit, it shook the earth. Then there was a massive explosion. And in my mind, I knew that explosion was nuclear. I knew that it was a nuclear explosion. And then I knew at this point this person was my daughter. I looked over at her and she was just terrified. She couldn't even move. And I said, we have got to get out of here. That was a nuclear explosion. And the winds are going to get us, and that radiation is going to destroy us. And so I grabbed her hand. And when I grabbed her hand, immediately a baby appeared in my other arms. And all of a sudden, I knew I had this baby, and we started off running and we ran, and I just knew we had to get out of there because whatever this thing was, we knew we had to get it. But I forgot to say that when this thing hit, and right before I grabbed my daughter's hand to run, I heard the Lord say, tell my people to get the hell out of there. And we took off running. Me, my daughter, and the new baby that I had in my arm. I don't know. The baby had just fallen out of the sky and it fell into my arms. And that was basically the dream. As we were running, I woke up. I woke up from the dream. Just, I mean, I was just frightened when I woke up because my energy level was just pumping because I knew we had to get out of there because God said, tell my people to get the hell out of there. Now, brothers and sisters, this is clearly a warning dream that the Lord has given me to share with you. And He has been making sure that I go ahead and get this out. And so that is what I want to do. But it is a warning dream. Now, another thing that I remember that I left out, when this thing fell out of the sky, I remember thinking in my spirit, it had started. And I knew that this was about some biblical event that was going to happen. And I remember thinking, it has started. So I knew that the Lord was saying, when we see this, this will be a key or a cue to know that something has started and we need to take cover and need to run. Now I know you may be asking me, well, how do we know when we see this thing? How do we know what to do? Well, or when it will occur. Well, I'm going to share with you some additional visions and dreams that the Lord has given me that I think may tie into this. At least I'm going to present them to you here, and we can all just kind of watch to see if they tie in. And I'm going to do that when I get into the interpretation, which is right below. And so what I'm going to do now is just kind of read the interpretation because I think I had kind of gotten off and just kind of just telling it rather than trying to read it. And I noticed that when I do that, I do miss some things. So I'm going to read the interpretation now. I said, on September 4th, 2020, I had a vision and I was told by God that the Revelation 12 woman was pregnant again. Now, this is the interpretation. And so, so I was told that the Revelation 12 woman was pregnant again. And he said that it happened on September 4th, 2020. So I looked up the delivery date based on a conception date of September 4th, 2020 to find out when that would be. And I found out that the delivery date would be around May 28th, 2021, give or take 2 weeks. Now, this puts this time period around Pentecost or Shavuot. And sometimes, it's called Pentecost and sometimes it's called Shavuot in Hebrew. Now, Shavuot is one of God's feast days, which we know that sometimes major events will occur. So when I looked up that information that he gave me concerning the Revelation 12 woman was pregnant and she will deliver around the same time. Around May 28th, 2021. Now, in this vision that I had, I was specifically told that she conceived on September 24th. So I marked this as a very significant clue because remember, when I had the vision, one of the things that I said that it reminded me of, the grid on the sky reminded me of the Revelation 12 woman that we had seen in the sky concerning the alignment. And remember, in Stellarium, they have those grids. So I knew that that was a clue. Well, I felt that that was a clue. And then remember, when I was looking at this thing and I was getting ready to run, all of a sudden, this newborn baby just appeared in my arms, and I knew I had to take care of this child. So I believe that God is using this to let me know that the time frame of this event is probably going to be around May, early May, or around May 28th, plus or minus 2 weeks, because I think he has already tied it to that time frame by the vision itself. Okay. Another thing, the message that God told me is to tell my people that they need to get the hell out of that. In other words, you need to run. So now I'm not saying that this is going to be the time that we flee, but if we go back to Revelation 12, we know that there is a time when the woman is going to flee to the wilderness. Now remember, he said, tell my people to get the hell out of there. So he's saying that you need to run. We need to run. So that may be another tie-in to the Revelation 12 situation. And when I saw this thing fall out of the sky, there was a massive explosion. There was a massive shaking of the earth. So I know whatever happens is going to be something that's going to cause God's people to want to get out of there. And so to sum it up, what I saw was a spiky airplane like a craft appear out of the clouds. Now, this thing looked very ominous, and it looked like it was, it really didn't look like it was from this earth. So, as I said before, it may have been some kind of drone, some kind of alien aircraft. I don't know, but I believe that this was an attack. It was an attack on the people, and I don't think it was just local for my area. And I believe that the Lord has tied this to the Revelation 12 sign actually occurring. In other words, round May, plus or minus May 28th, plus or minus 2 weeks, I believe that this will be the fulfillment of the Revelation 12 sign. I believe that this will be when that man child is born, because remember, that child fell out of the air and appeared in my arms, and I knew that I had to take care of the child. And God told me to tell his people to get the hell out of there. In other words, we may find that this is the time that he's pinpointing that we need to be ready to flee to the wilderness. Now, I'm not saying this is the case, but I'm showing you what he has shown me. Now, this is basically all I have to say. But if you have any questions, specific questions about the dream, about my interpretations, please feel free to ask questions. I'll be glad to answer them as best I can. But I'm telling you, this is a warning dream, and I believe that he's letting us know that this is when the fulfillment of the Revelation 12 sign will occur. And I believe it's going to be sometime in the summer or late spring of 2021, and that will be around Pentecost. I don't believe it's going to be around Passover, because Passover would be a little too early for the child to be born if the child was conceived on September 4th, 2020. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me, and I will say shalom until the next time.